Hi friends, my name is Perpetually in Student Debt, and I'd like to welcome all of you to the inaugural episode of what we like to call the Unnamed Educational Show, also known as, twos. Yeah, so as you can see, we're very, very bare bones at the moment. I own absolutely nothing in this entire room around me. This microphone is, let's say, borrowed. Paper around me, all commandeered from my local Staples. And of course, my mind and soul is in the direct possession of an unspeakable eldritch horror. But yeah, that's not to say we are completely alone on our little educational quest here. We have a few little friends with us today, especially my good friend Alex the intern right over there. Alex? He's just such a positive influence on my life. I don't know what I'll do without him. You said it, buddy. Anyway, as a live-action educational channel not run by nerd heartthrob John Green, me and the boys decided we should probably start with a really dry topic, something that will really alienate our target audience. So, without further ado, Twos presents the Mercator projection. The Mercator projection.
It's a projection.
So before diving into that hot piece of booty that is Flemish cartographer Gerardus Mercator, let us quickly touch on what a projection actually is. Hello? Oh. Okay. All right. Word of the day? Projection. Don't you forget it. Alright. Thanks. Projections. The idea of a projection best begins with a brief description of the Earth. You see how it's kind of global. It's a globe. And like the Earth, a orange is also a globe. An orange that I'm not seeing on my desk. Fridge human? Can I get a cup over here? I was kind of hoping for a whole orange. Yeah, okay. Whatever, that's fine. So yeah, like an orange. And let's say on the outside of this orange, we have a bunch of drawings, as Fridge Demon has so graciously done for us. But let's say we want to take our little Fridge Demon's cry for help and put it out on a 2D plane, a flat sheet of paper, for example. You can see, in trying to do that, the integrity of the drawing gets kind of skewed in some way, no matter what. It's just hard to do in general. So what a projection does is take these images on a 3D surface and transition it to a 2D, generally through the power of math and most of the time cylinders. You can use other things like cones and stuff, but only true chads use cylinders. Remember that. Anyway, the simplest form of it is just kind of stick the really? I asked you to do one thing, and okay. What you would do is stick it inside and kind of trace the outside around it and then, unfurl it. But as my friends are a little incompetent, we cannot do that demonstration today. In addition to that, there's probably a lot more math that I'm just completely forgetting, but I'm a liberal arts major. So anyway, our Earth is very much like this orange peel with the, depraved scribblings being the land masses and oceans that are on our big blue marble. So what a projection does, at least in our sense of the word, is take those land masses and oceans on this 3D global surface and translate it to a 2D plane, generally in the form of a map. I'm sure you're familiar with some of these projections. The Robinson one is fairly widespread in today's day and age. Of course, there's the one that looks like an orange, but is very difficult for a child to read. But of course, the one we're going over today is a little different, and it's called the Mercator projection. Yeah. Alex, could you get the transition? Great, that's fine. Mercator. Yay.
Mercator projection.
So yeah, something I just found out. Gerardus Mercator, excuse me, was not his the Mad Lad's actual first name. It was actually like Gert de Kremer, something like that. I don't really know how to pronounce it, but apparently he took the second name while he was in school after his mother died. Although I've also seen sources that it was a trade name, and now I want to become a cartographer so I can name myself something like that because that is totally cool. Anyway, Joris Mercator, again, he's Flemish, born in Flemland. So before making the projection, Mercator was actually a very prolific globe and local map maker. He was very well respected in both the general public and the cartography community, until he was persecuted by the Catholic Church for possibly being a Lutheran instead of a Catholic. They were really into it at the time, the whole Spanish Inquisition, even though he wasn't Spanish, he was Flemish, whatever. Catholics be Catholics. Anyway, after moving town and getting away, he began work and eventually finished his, magnum opus of sorts. And I need to refer to my notes. The Nova et Aucuta Orbis Terrae Descripto ad usum navigantum imitate accommodia. Or for those of us who don't speak a language who should be never taught again and should be dead permanently, fuck you Latin, the new and more complete representation of the terrestrial globe properly adapted for use in navigation. Now, of course, you could be a virgin and refer to this as the Mercator projection, or you can, be a Chad and let's call it the proper title, the Naut d'une A. The more that I think of it, that's actually Latin, so Mercator projection it is. So yeah, the Mercator projection was actually a very cutting-edge navigational tool. It employed many recently developed, at least in that time, cartographical kind of ideas, namely Loxodromes or rhumbs. I can't really explain them because I have the cartographical knowledge of a diseased ground squirrel, but I'll try to link a thing in the description below that says about them.
But cheating.
Leave me alone. Leave me alone. I am a politics major. I will get to mill one day. Oh, I will. Oh, I will. So although it took a little bit to catch on, the Mercator projection was very, very well received, especially by those who, wanted to use it for navigation. And is still actually used in submarine navigation in the modern day, although, of course, it's a little bit modified because we got to get to its flaws. If you look at this right here, you notice as the continents get closer and closer to the poles, they get a little, stretchy. And the map in its original form is actually unusable outside 70 degrees north and 70 degrees south. So in this case, it makes Antarctica, the second smallest continent, look like the biggest continent there is. Greenland over here looks significantly better in Australia, thereby cementing Danish superiority. And last but not least, the Great Canadian Empire seems to stretch absolutely forever. Now, Mercator did know about this. He was not an idiot. He was a very good cartographer. But he didn't really give a fuck. Not because he didn't want accuracy in the continents, but because he cared more about accuracy in the oceans and how they could be navigated. He never imagined that people would actually take this map and, use it for educational purposes and shape an entire generation's worldview. And, thanks, America. So, as all things do, Mercator's projection only really became a problem centuries later, especially during the late 19th and throughout the 20th century, where it was used as a study aid, or as the, sole educational representation of the Earth. There could be a lot of good reasons why they use this. It was the main model at the time. There were, some fringe models that were very well known in the cartographical community, but, not too far out. But, no, that's not the reason. Look at this map. It looks like a map, and the defining feature you would not think is that it's a rectangle. I shit you not. People use this because it was a rectangle and could therefore fit on a poster better or a wall map like that. I have no faith left in humanity. It just saddens me every time.
So the use of this in schools arguably due to racism, as many of the European nations that used it, and of course America as well, were actually exaggerated in size on the map due to their distance from the equator, while countries that many people who were discriminated against hail from, namely pretty much all of the African countries being right around the equator, were seen as significantly smaller. And therefore it contributes to what I like to call the whole Draco Malfoy defense. The haha, my blank is bigger, better than my father over here, that kind of stuff. But with a slightly more stealing from families from generations, like starting with mercantilism, going into colonialism, and continuing that process until colonialism was abolished, and continuing that into the modern day with neoliberalism. That kind of spin to it, which I guess is kind of present in Harry Potter with house elves, but is it? Forget that. Anyway, it just contributed to the problem, and the fact that it was so widespread. I mean, it was still in use when I was a kid, pretty much, not entirely in use, but there's still one of those pull-down maps. I had like 3 of those maps in there. It was still one of the projections, along with, I think, the Robinson. So it provided a pretty decently big problem that wasn't fully resolved until more modern-day educational practices came.
Again, this is not to say that the Mercator map is inherently racist. Like many other things, it was made for one purpose and repurposed to another, which therefore made the use of it problematic, to say the least. Again, Gerardus Mercator was a brilliant, brilliant man and knew exactly what the map was for and what the map wasn't for. It is the fault of those who control the educational system in both America and most of the European nations that, caused this issue to begin with. And as our episode draws to a close, remember, I am very consistently wrong on things. If you think you know something else that I don't, please leave it below. And thank y'all for watching. Catch you in the next one. This is Perpetually in Student Debt. Oh shit. That didn't go how it was supposed to. Hey guys, I'm sure y'all know Perpetually in Student Debt's not my name. I'm not going to say my name because I don't want to tell it. But thank you so much for making it to the end of the first video. As I said at the end of my little sign off, I do want some sort of like feedback or any sort of criticism, compliments, whatever. Just stuff I can do to improve, stuff I already did that I should, heighten up, all that kind of thing. If you want to see more from the channel, please like and subscribe. It will be kind of a mixed variety of content or whatever I want on here. It's gonna be mostly educational stuff, but yeah. Thank you so much for making it to the end of the video, and yeah, this is a weird peace sign, but I'll see you in the next one. Bye.